Welcome to Epic Yarn Gems. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make my psychedelic beanie. This is really one of the first beanies that I made when I started doing trials on my own at different designs that I really wanted to make. I actually made this hat for my husband, and he has his own YouTube channel as well. It's called Plot's Voice, and he did feature my hat in one of his videos, so I'm going to put a link to that video in this video. The stitches that are used in this hat, I have done tutorial videos on those in the past, so if you need refreshers on those, I will be trying to put some of those links throughout the video so that you can go back if you need to review. This beanie was made with the Lion Brand Cupcake yarn, and here are all the different colors cut out of that cupcake and made into different balls. So that is really how you start this beanie, and it is made with two of the colors together, so it's two strands throughout the video. And I used a 5.5 millimeter hook, and like I said, you start with two colors, and that is really the biggest challenge of this hat, is changing the colors, to be very honest. So these are the two colors I decided to start with, and I tied them together so that I had a nice starting foundation with the yarn being tied together and not loose and flowing around. This is a top-down beanie that I started with a magic circle. I'll put a link on how to do a magic circle in the description, and also a link in the information video up in the corner. So once we get our magic circle started, we are going to do a chain here, and then we are going to do one more chain, so that's a chain two, and then we're going to do half double crochets into the center of this magic circle, and we are going to be doing 10 of those half double crochets. So we will keep doing that all the way around, and once we get those 10 into the circle, we are going to do a slip stitch join with the first stitch. So we are going to be finishing up that slip stitch join and going on to row 2. For row 2, we are going to start with a chain 2, and then we are going to go into that same stitch that we did the chain 2, and we're going to put 2 double crochets. Like I had mentioned earlier, we're working with 2 strands, so sometimes you have to wiggle that hook in there a little bit or loosen up your stitch, whichever you want. Here, as like I said, I was doing one of the first beanies I had done with my own designs, so the video may be a little rough just because it is one of the first ones that I did do. And we are going to finish that row with a slip stitch join, and then we're moving on to row 3. In row 3, we are going to start, like we did the previous row, with a chain 2. Then after that chain 2, we are going to go into the same stitch that we have that chain 2, and we are going to do a double crochet into that stitch, and then the stitch after that, we are going to do 2 double crochets. And that is how we're going to complete this round with that pattern. One stitch, we will put 1 double crochet. In the stitch after that, we will put 2 double crochets, and we will work all the way around. Once you have finished that row, you should have 30 stitches in that row. So now we're going to go on to change our color. So we are at our slip stitch join, and I picked the next color I'm going to use, and I'm going to pick one of the strands to move forward with along with the new color. So as we pull this through, I have the orange thread still in the mix, but it's kind of behind it, and I'm going to use the turquoise blue, and it's more of a reddish maroon as the next. So that is how you start your next row with that yarn change. So we are going to start row 4 with that chain 2, and then what we are going to do is we're going to go into that same stitch, same as we had done before, and for the first 2 stitches we're going to put a double crochet in each of those stitches, and then in the third stitch we are going to do 2 double crochets, and we are going to work that all the way around, and that is the pattern. Double crochet in 2 of the next stitches, then the third stitch we're going to do 2 double crochets. So as we finish this row up, we will have a total of 40 stitches. Get done with this row, we're going to do another color change, and we are going to do it on that slip stitch join. So we're going into the top of the first stitch, and we are laying the color, the next color we want, into the mix. So right now we have 3 colors, but we are only going to pull 2 of those colors through. And in this case, I stayed with the red and added the yellow. And I did my chain 2, and I'm now going to go doing double crochets, starting with that first stitch going in the chain, and we're going to do double crochets in the first 3 stitches, sorry about that, and then 2 double crochets in the next stitch. So that is the pattern for this row. It's going to be double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, then 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Once you get done with this row, you will have a total of 50 stitches. So you can color change whenever you feel. I did do a lot of color changes in here, but I always try to carry one of the strands from the previous row with me. So in this next color change, I'm keeping the yellow, but I'm picking up the blue again. And then I am just going into my next pattern. So I did that slip stitch join. That's when you do those color changes. You're going to do a chain 2, and then in the next 4 stitches you are going to do a double crochet, and in the 5th stitch you're going to do 2 double crochets. When you get to the end of the row, you will be doing a slip stitch join, and you will have a total of 60 stitches in this round. As we go on to row 7, I did do another color change. We're at that slip stitch join. So I'm going to bring in this green color, and in that slip stitch join, that is when I'm going to change those colors up and pull them into the crochet row. So in row 7, just like every other row, we're going to start with the chain 2, and then in that same area or the same stitch that we did the chain 2, we are going to put a double crochet in there, and then we are going to do double crochets in the first 5 stitches, and then in the 6th stitch you are going to do 2 double crochets. So that is the pattern for this row. First 5 stitches, double crochets, 6th stitch, 2 double crochets. We are going to end this round with a slip stitch join. If you need to make your hat bigger, you're just going to continue with these increases, but if you need it smaller, you might want to stop on row 6. And that is the end of the increase row. So here we are, starting row 8. I am going to do a color change here as well. You can see it's getting a little messy back here, but as long as you can keep your strands straight of what you want to do, you just pull them up to the row that you want to use them in. So in row 8, I did a complete color change. I didn't do just one of the colors from the previous row. And you're going to want to give it a little tug to make sure that it stays tight. So in row 8, we're going to start with a chain 2, and then we are just going to go around and do a row of double crochets. So in this round, like I said, just a whole round of double crochet, so you will have a total of 70. And then when you get done, you will be doing a slip stitch join. And since you will be doing a slip stitch join, if you want to change your colors, that is the time that you're going to do it. So for rows 9 through 12, you are going to start with a chain 2, and then in that first post from that double crochet row, you will be doing a front post double crochet. So here is that post, and we're going to go in from the front, weave around, come out the front, and then just finish it off with a normal double crochet. In the next stitch, we're going to be doing a back post double crochet. So we're going to find the post, and we're going to come in through the back, go back out the back, and then just finish it off with a typical double crochet. So that is going to be the pattern all the way around. You're going to do front post double crochet followed by a back post double crochet in the next stitch. And then once you finish that round, you will be finishing it off with a slip stitch join each time. And like I said, that is rows 9 through 12. So as we keep going, we're going to do those rows, and as you can see, my little gem, his little paws are up in the corner. He is my crochet buddy, and of course he's helping me, watching intently, making sure that I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. So this is a super fun hat, and because you are using two strands of yarn, it is a very warm hat. Um, it does have stretch in it. You would think maybe that there wasn't a lot of stretch, but it does stretch up really nice. And if you need to make the hat longer than what this one is going to turn out to be, you're just going to add a row of possibly these front post double crochets, back post double crochets. So as we finish up there, we're going to go on to row 13 with a slip stitch join. Again, perfect time to do a color change, but we're going to start this row with a chain 1. And then we are going to do an entire row of just single crochets. Once we get done with that, we are going to end with the slip stitch join. So the next row is row 14. You can see Diamond is getting in on the picture here a little bit more. He just really wants to get close, make sure I'm doing things right. So for row 14, you are going to do a chain 2, and then you are going to do a back loop only double crochet. So in this one, we are not going under both of the V's from the previous row. We are going only in the back loop. And you will be doing that for rows 14 and 16. So for rows 15 and 17, so every other row, you are going to do a chain 2, and you are going to do just a straight double crochet. So not in the back loop only, but a true double crochet. You will continue to do this all the way around. So like I said, these are for rows 15 and 17. As we move on, we're going to go into rows 18 through 21. And here we've already done this once before, and we are going to do a chain 2 going into that first post with a front post double crochet, followed by a back post double crochet in the next stitch. And you are going to do that all the way around, and you're going to do that for rows 18 through 21. So moving on to row 22, this is one that we're going to start with only a chain 1. And then what we are going to do is a row of single crochets. And here you can see I'm pulling all of those strands to make sure they're nice and tight. And the reason I'm doing that is so when we have the transitions, we don't have a lot of gaps in there. So like I said, row 22 starts with a chain 1 and then an entire row of single crochets. At the very end, you will be doing a slip stitch join. So we're getting here towards the end. Row 23 starts with a chain 2, and then it's just going to be a row of double crochets all the way around, followed by a slip stitch join. As we finish up this row and go into 24, which is our last row, we will do our last slip stitch join and do a chain 1. The last row is just a straight row of single crochets. Like I mentioned earlier, this was one of the very first hats that I did where I just kind of went with it. I went with the stitches that I wanted to in the order that I wanted to do them, how I thought it looked good. And since then, I have learned a lot more stitches. So going forward, how I will probably end this hat or this last row is with the crab stitch. I think it just gives it more of a refined look on the end, but I think the single crochets look good too. And then as we finish up, we're going to just have to join the last stitch to the first stitch. And I do an invisible join where I pull the yarn through after I cut it and use a tapestry needle to weave it into the last stitch to make it look like a stitch. You use whatever join works best for you. This is just an example of the join that I use. I really want to thank you for joining me today. I appreciate all of the support that I have received in this last year. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. and leave me some comments. I love comments. And then also, if you want to see more of my videos, subscribe to Epic Yarn Gems. Hit that bell so that you'll be notified when I post new videos. And like I said, I want to thank everyone for this last year. Looking forward to the next year, and I hope you all have a great day and take care.